Amstrad 8086. Time to take the back off. Never done this before, I ain't really got a clue what I'm doing, so can't find a manual, can't find nothing. So let's start with the obvious, taking off what we can get off. Not liking those two, can't see any screws. I don't need a long reach screwdriver for this. They're a long way down. Let's have a look on the bottom. See, no screws on the bottom. So we've removed all the screws from the back. It's just making sure that you get all the screws out in full. And ta-da! There's a drop of screw. Let's find that before we lose it. Okay, what have we got here? Well, it's one of the roughest, cheapest power supplies I've seen in a long time. Bridge rectifier made up of 4 diodes and a smoothing cap, and that looks about it. Very impressed. Let's just move this out of the way. And what have we got inside? Well, it does look like we have got a filter capacitor on the tweeter. They're 4 ohm rated. I'm not sure what the main speaker. But it's all a little bit cryptic on how we get into the rest of it now. I don't understand how we're going to get into this part. The cassette mechanisms are hidden behind this main board. It looks like it's a bit of verdigris and I need to get that board out and clean it anyway. Well, we've got the back off, and basically effectively it was just removing all the screws all the way around and then just very gentle lifting. Does need cleaning up, so it's a good excuse now to get the vacuum out. We should be able to get the speaker grills off. They look like they're just folded over lugs, so we can take those off, clean the speaker cavities. But the first priority really is to get to this tuner section really and find out how we get this part off. I really don't see how it comes off. It's all one big lump of plastic. I don't even know how they've got it in there. Oh, okay. Maybe this top section comes off on its own. Well, I've looked all around the unit. The only thing I can find is there's 2 screws underneath the deck here. And it's looking like there is a split all the way around. So it looks like we should be able to lift this top section out. I suppose the best thing to do is start by taking all the knobs off and see if there's anything retaining it underneath these. No screws under there, can't see anything there at all. Really not having a lot of luck with this. I'm stuck on this edge. I think the handle's got to come off. Okay, so we've got all the screws out the back. We also need to remove the 2 screws that were in the turntable area. I've come to realise that on this side of the carry handle it detaches from the chassis, but on this side, which is from the back on the left hand side, there's a small pin. So we do need to dismantle the top carry handle and put that to one side for now. Get those out. Yeah, I think we've got to take this clip off here. I think that's holding this piece of plastic to this top piece of plastic. I'll just pop this small little circlip off. So hopefully now that part should just come out, and Hey presto, it's come apart. Okay, so to get this thing apart, on that side it just simply lifts off and there's a bracket. On this side you've got to take this circlip off because the plastic chassis is held on to the base of the chassis via that pin. The top should lift away, but we've now got this wire loom to deal with, so I've got to find a way of, probably easy to lie it down on its back. Okay, I've laid it on its back. Fortunately the speaker loom for the tweeter and the main speaker are all part of this, and there's just some simple connections on the board which we can take off, which are just there. So hopefully then we can move the two apart, although that still looks a bit of a rat's nest. So let's start with these two connections. And two. So we've got those off. Now hopefully a few connections there, and there's one that's going up to the speaker. I mean the microphone board or the headphone socket, I'm not sure which it is. So let's pull those off, and hopefully we can then depart. Oh, there's only the two. Okay, I think that's done it. I think we have separation. Gives us complete separation of the head unit. Let me just show you in better detail on the carry handle. So on the carry handles you can see there's a split pin there which allows you to remove this bar. So I might take that off to get it out of the way because I've got to do a bit more cleaning on this. That's simple enough to get off. Just use a screwdriver and that's it, it's off. And that releases the carry handle. Yeah, it's quite well designed in as much as the tweeters come away with the main speakers. Whole of the back carcass now can be cleaned up, de-dusted, de-grilled and cleaned out. At least they made it semi-modular anyway, so it does now give me the option to clean these tweeters, take these grills off, clean inside there, and the same with this side. And the top section, main control board. These electric microphones just simply unplug. This cassette mechanism is quite nice, I can get access to all the belts. I'm going to have to draw out this, make sure I get this all right if I'm going to take this part, the radio part. Unfortunately the other cassette player is hidden well down there, and that's a bit of a pain. I really was hoping that I would get easy access, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So hopefully I can just lift the whole of this module out. So it looks like there's a few screws here and down here, which hopefully then I can just lift this whole thing out. I don't have to upset this cabling. I think I'll just disconnect these. Not really nice connections, to be honest. Feel very, those are soldered down. So I think we'll disconnect these. There's another screw just there. I've just took that out, which allows me to lift out the microphone sockets, so we can move those out of the way. After a little bit of nosing around, there's holes. Make sure this wheel isn't over that one, and you just need to loosen the screws that are down the bottom of these holes. I've loosened all the other screws, but I think some of them just hold the cassette mechanisms in. I'm really trying not to touch this wire. There's a couple of screws down there I need to get to. I might just desolder that from the board there. That might be the easiest option. I took off this silver plate here just to see what was underneath it. I've got to put that back on. But this should hopefully now, hopefully lift out. Ah, it's these wires. It's the ones that I said, oh, I need to sort those out. Okay, so I'll desolder those and then we'll try again. Let's desolder these two wires. They're actually for the antennas. Okay, that's one off. Just be careful not to melt the plastic wheel. And that's the second one off. So I don't know, I could do it with a clean. Okay, so let's get those out of the way. There's a few more wires to desolder. There's this pink wire. This orange wire. And this ground wire. This all seems to be joined together. Hopefully that's it. Let's try again. See if we can lift this board out now. Okay, let's try again. See if we'll lift out. Well, that's very promising. And there we go. We've got the board out in its entirety. And just drop that there. And this now gives me the option now to have a look at this power button, why that don't work. A little bit of dismantling to do on that to do that. These screws, these need to come out, and I presume that's why that cassette wasn't working. The actual belt isn't actually attached. So we're getting there. So I need to get the belt back on that. It looks like there's only one belt. I don't think there's a fast forward and reverse belt. I think it's all just done in one belt. That's the opposite side with the counter on. And as you can see, the belt's attached with that one. This is not looking too bad now. Should be able to get into this. But yep, that's roughly how you get it apart. It's a lot of work to get apart, but I might as well check some of these caps on this board while I'm doing it. They've been around since the 80s, and the Rubicons, if they are, were notoriously bad. And as you can see, the radio mechanism comes apart as one piece. It also now gives me the option to clean up these pots, because these are all scratchy, and replace if need be. Yeah, I'm happy now. I've got to where I want it to be. I'm going to take this part apart, but I'll save that for another video. At the moment, this was just purely how to get to this point, and I'll get the measurements for that belt, and hopefully then we can get it all back together. It still works. Okay, to summarise, these screws that had the red paint, I didn't need to take off unless you're going to take the cassette mechanisms out. So this is a learning curve for all of us. As you can see, I've taken them out, but I'm going to put those back in. They didn't need to come out. The only screws that needed to come out were these fixings here, which were in the centre of the main board. And as I said earlier, if you look here and there and there, that's where the fixing screw was. So I think it's just a question of loosening those screws, disconnecting these connectors on the ends. A little bit of desoldering to do. I don't know why they did it that way. There should have been a connector there, really. It could have been. But as you can see, this board does really need a lot of cleaning up. And I'm going to take this off and clean behind the LEDs. But I'm going to change all the belts. So it's only 2 belts by the look of it. That shouldn't be a hard job to do. But yep, so if you're going to take these apart, hopefully this will give you some idea of what to take off and what not to take off. But it's a learning curve for me, so I can put these back together really now. But to be honest, I might leave them out just so I can purely clean up the buttons and lubricate some of the gearings and the capstan.